Ronda Rousey made a name for herself in the cage by finishing off a huge percentage of her opponents in a matter of minutes, if not seconds. But her fame came just as much from her ability to beef with fighters and celebrities in a way that generated tons of headlines. In this video, we're going to take a look at some of the biggest flame wars over her MMA career. One of Ronda Rousey's first feuds is also one of her longest and most vitriolic. Miesha Tate was the Strikeforce Women's Champion when Ronda Rousey arrived in the promotion in 2012, and right from the start, the two didn't get along.
I just think it's kind of hilarious that Miesha said she doesn't like me or anything that I've done, but then she just said that I helped make her dreams come true. So that's a little bit of a contradiction.
I was raised by, a doctorate of psychology. And so I kind of get excited about the pre-fight thing too, because I feel like the fight starts as soon as it is announced. And I've been trying to do whatever I can to mess with her all the way along. Like, I walked in, I'm like, it's my best friend in the whole world. And, every single time she has to ignore me or avoid eye contact with me, that's a conscious effort for her. So I try to affect her in whichever way I can. It's kind of like a social video game. I like it.
Rousey even got a rise out of Miesha's longtime boyfriend and fellow fighter, Bryan Caraway, who ended up threatening to knock her teeth down her throat.
It's been documented many times that I'd fight Bryan Caraway, yeah. Or Brian Tate.
Their war went much further than words when Ronda snapped Miesha's elbow backwards in an armbar at the end of their first fight, putting her out of action for nearly 4 months. In 2013, the UFC would make Rousey and Tate coaches on the 18th season of The Ultimate Fighter, and their dislike for each other only increased.
How is it not a rivalry? I have everything that she wants in life.
I don't really use the term hate, but I have I've learned more about her personality, and I haven't really seen anything I like.
And I'm not saying I'm perfect or whatever, but I definitely think there's an element of crazy to her that I don't think I could ever reach. And, I think you guys will see that. She's just very emotionally charged. She's very, she's just kind of crazy, and she's ruthless, she's very mean. She's very, rough around the edges or whatever, or at least.
You'd be shocked at the absolutely appalling number of people that have come to me begging to help me with my camp because they were over by Tate and Caraway in some way. They've been hopping around camps, like one camp to another, to another, to another. I've always stayed with the same one. And I have so many people that have come up to me being like, please let me help you. They did this, this, and that. Please let me help you do this. Like, every single bridge they burned in their wake, had come to me begging to help me to try and beat her. But we can do this on our own.
It's not just her opponents that Ronda Rousey goes after. She's known to take shots at random celebrities and athletes in other sports, like Kim Kardashian and Olympic swimmer Michael Phelps. She even got into it multiple times with UFC Octagon girl Arianny Celeste. The back and forth between Rousey and Celeste started back in 2012, after Ronda featured in Maxim's Hot 100 for the first time. All the way up in spot number 29 between Olivia Munn and Hayden Panettiere, but Ronda couldn't help throwing a jab at Arianny Celeste, who was 11 spots above her at number 18. After dropping a crass remark, she finished by saying maybe next year. She's only getting older, and I'm reaching my prime. Arianny responded on MMA Junkie Radio saying, I don't think she's a good role model for women. I think that women should empower each other and give each other a little pat on the back.
She went and became a ring card girl to pay her way through art school and become a renowned artist, and her being a ring card girl helps her promote her art. If you're working at Hooters because you're trying to pay your way through medical school, then work it, girl. I respect the hustle, but don't think you're hot just because you work at Hooters,
To call out one and say, oh, the ring girls are horrible, they're trashy, they're, this and that, they're gonna have to explain to their daughter someday why, everything's everywhere, and then she goes and hops on the cover of ESPN magazine, like 1% less naked, and is like, well, but that's fine. She's like, I wouldn't show anything I wouldn't show in a bikini. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure I saw a lot more than what I would see unless you have like the world's smallest bikini. You know what I mean? So, to me, it's dumb. She needs to stop talking so much crap, and especially about celebrities and people that aren't even fighters and stuff like that. To me, that is so childish, like calling out Kim Kardashian and talking crap about Michael Phelps and things like that. It's just like, grow up.
Ronda also mixed up with President Donald Trump back in 2015 when he was just ramping up for election. Trump claimed on CNN that Ronda Rousey was a fan of his. She replied saying, "I wouldn't vote for him. I just wouldn't trust the guy with running my country. That's all. I don't want a reality TV star running my country." Trump got his revenge a few months later after Rousey was knocked out by Holly Holm at UFC 193. "Glad to see that Ronda Rousey lost her championship fight last night," he tweeted. "Was soundly beaten, not a nice person." Donald wasn't the only person to celebrate Rousey's loss. Justin Bieber also took to Twitter following Ronda's KO loss to Amanda Nunes in December of 2016, declaring, "You just got knocked the F out." Why the bad blood? Well, a year before, Rousey had called Bieber out for being really rude to her little sister by not signing an autograph saying, "I'm not a belieber. I was, but I'm not anymore." Well, I think it's safe to say Justin doesn't believe in you either, Ronda. Several gossip sites claimed that the tweet from Bieber may actually have been written by Justin's friend and pound-for-pound boxing great, Floyd Mayweather. Ronda famously blasted Floyd in the 2015 ESPYs when she won the Best Fighter award he was also nominated for, saying, "I wonder how Floyd feels being beat by a woman for once."
And yeah, after the ESPYs last year and what he said, I was biting my time for the right time to respond. And so what actually happened was somebody asked him like, "Oh, how do you think you do in a fight with Ronda Rousey?" And he goes, "Ronda Rousey? I don't know who he is." And someone explained who I am, and he's like, "I know who that is." And I know for damn sure that he knew who I was because he was running against me for Best Fighter that year, and he has signed MMA fighters, and so his feigned ignorance was meant to be really kind of a snarky remark to me. I'm a patient girl, and I wanted to respond at the most appropriate time where I thought that I could make the biggest impression that I'm not the kind of chick that he makes snarky remarks about. And so I waited a whole year to say something. And you know what? If I didn't win Best Fighter this year, I would have waited 2 years, or I would have waited 3 years. I would have waited for the exact time.
The king of boxing against the queen of the MMA.
At first, a long time ago, I didn't know. When they asked me about Ronda Rousey, I thought it was a guy. I didn't know. I apologize. But then, I found out it was a female. I wish her nothing but the best.
Floyd's apologies didn't stop Rousey from slamming him in the media more over the years. And while things she said never seemed to bother Mayweather Jr., you couldn't say the name for his father, Floyd Mayweather Sr.
Man, Ronda Rousey I don't know, that woman needs to go shut up, man, somewhere. She ain't finna whoop damn man in here. She can't whoop you. Yeah, well, she can tell all the lies she wanna tell, but I know you ain't going for that. All right, then.
But perhaps the biggest rivalry Ronda Rousey has ever had over the years was with Strikeforce and UFC featherweight champion Cris Cyborg. The MMA world has wanted to see these two in the cage since Rousey emerged onto the scene. But unfortunately, the fight never came together because Ronda insisted it take place at 135 pounds. Here she is in 2012.
In light of her testing positive for steroids, I think it might be a little more fair to kind of try and get her to fight at 135, because when she's off of steroids, it would be easier for her to cut down to the weight. And if she decides to do some other steroid that's hard to be tested for, then the weight cut would make the doping just as much of a detriment as it would be a help to her. So in light of her testing positive, I'd probably insist on fighting her at a lighter weight.
And she only got more brash with her demands as time went on.
I've always wanted to fight her, but the thing is, she's the one that ran away. I mean, they announced out of competition drug testing in the UFC, and within 24 hours she asked for a release. And then she started saying that, "Oh, I won't be able to make 135 because then I won't be able to, it'll make it hard for me to have kids." I'm like, you didn't give a flying fuck about how the steroids would affect your kids. I put an over-under on your miscarriages now just on that. So it's just a bunch of hypocrisy. She doesn't want to fight.
I'm prepared to deal with anything. That's why I'm here. And, I fight in the UFC 135-pound division, and she can fight 145, pump full of steroids, and she can make weight just like everybody else without them.
Stop taking steroids and make weight.
You know, for me, if it makes easy 135, of course I make tomorrow. You know, if I make this fight, I love fight, but I think it's a very, I think 140 it'll be perfect because man, me and Ronda champ. You know, I think if she should want to make this fight, can make 140. And before she say I make 145 for fight Gina, I make 150 for fight Laila Lee. And I think it's be perfect 140. But I try my best. I try 100% for make all my fans and try make this fight happen.
Things got so bad at one point that Cyborg threatened to sue Rousey for all the endless steroid talk. Although nothing came of it, requests from Cyborg's camp to the UFC to discipline Rousey after she called Cris an it also fell on deaf ears. But after Ronda retired, Cyborg didn't sound too interested in continuing the war.
No, I don't have anything against Ronda. I think she did a lot of things for MMA, you know. And then I don't have anything, you know. We can talk. I never met her before, but I think she did great things for women's MMA. She did a lot of things to say about me, but I think she used that time for growing her. You know, I think she's using like a business. I think something personal because I never met her. We don't know each other. But nothing. I don't have anything against her.
One thing is for sure, Rousey sure did take on the world during her short but explosive mixed martial arts career.